right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Real Freedom Podcast, where we're talking about building time and financial freedom through different opportunities in real estate. And as we've seen from a lot of our past guests, they have a few different irons in the fire, different things that they're working on in the real estate space. We've actually seen a lot of people too that have done stuff in real estate, which gives them freedom to do things outside of real estate. But here, today's guest, we have Aziz Shabazz. And Aziz has done a lot of things inside the real estate that kind of compound on top of each other. And we'll talk about how he's been able to build momentum with that. So he is a realtor, personal and business financial coach. You are in Chicago area, been in real estate for almost 2 decades. You've worked on fix and flips over time, some rentals, townhouses. We'll get into that. And really for you, it's just about helping people, finding different ways that you can help people, whether it's getting loans, whether it's helping them with financial literacy, educating them, obviously the real estate side, lending side. So just you're a guy that likes to help people. And so we'll get into kind of how all of that works. So welcome to the show, Aziz. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you, Mike. Man, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about it, man. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, great. For the folks listening, why don't you just kind of share a little bit about your background, how you got into the real estate space and where it's gone from there, and then we'll dig in deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into real estate probably about 18 years ago when I bought my first property. So I bought my first property when I was 23. And I just got into real estate because I kind of knew early on that a few things were important, that credit was important, and then owning property was important, right? They always say that wealthiest people tend to be in real estate, right? So I wanted to get into real estate. Funny story is, and a lot of people don't even know this story, is that when I wanted to buy my first property, you always hear this will be the biggest investment in your lifetime, right? So I was like, man, okay, I was a little bit nervous about it, right? So what I did was I started really going to the library, studying on it. And I was in a lot of books and used the internet, etc. And I started learning about real estate, but I started learning about the loan process as well. And then they used to have I'm probably showing my age, and they might still have it, but at bus stops, they would have these employment books in these boxes. And I had one of those, and I went to the back of the book, and I saw there was a position for a loan officer, and so it said no experience necessary, etc. So I went on an interview, and I got the job, and the lady was like, "I can't believe you are not already doing loans." I said, "Well," she said, "how do you know all this stuff?" And I said, "I just studied on it." So she hired me right away. And then I ended up doing actually my first loan for my property. Had her name on it, etc., because I wasn't, licensed. I was like more sort of the assistant. And I actually did my first loan for my property. So that's how, deep I got into kind of learning about real estate. And then from there, I bought my property. I started with a 2-unit. Bought another 2-unit a little bit after that, and then got into some fix and flip and things of that nature. And and then now we are here where we are today. But the reason why I got into real estate as a realtor is because people have been telling me, because I have been helping people answering questions about real estate, because I just became the guy to go to, and they always said, "Go get your real estate license." And I said, "No, I'm not that type of person. I'm not a people person. I don't want to drive people in my car." It just didn't seem like a good thing for me. And so I put it off for a long time. And then I was at my 9-to-5 job, and I had got 5 promotions in 4 years, and I knew the business like the back of my hand. I didn't even have to think about it. And so then it was like I could take on something else. And I decided that I wanted to sell 2 of my properties. I said, well, I don't want to pay a realtor. Maybe I'll just get my license. I'll sell them myself. If I could sell, 5 homes a year, maybe that's another car, or that's a vacation or something of that nature. That was my only intention. And, so I got my real estate license. I passed my exam. first try. I found out that was a major accomplishment later.
Mhm.
Um, and then once I got my real estate license, I ended up closing about 17 deals my first year. I had sold about 5 houses before I had even sold my own property. So when I did that, I was like, okay, this is something that I could do. And I went on my second year to 22 transactions part time. Then I decided to go full time in my second year. And also because my 2 years had come, I went and got my managing broker's license. I took the test to get my managing broker's license. I started my own office. My top year when I was primarily focused on sales, I did 11 million in sales value in Chicago. The price point that I was in, I was 54 transactions. I wish it was, 54 transactions in California. But that 11 million put me at the top 5% out of over a million agents across the nation. And then since then, I've moved my business to EXP, and I gotta say that's probably one of the best moves that I've made in real estate.
And now you have a team as well, right? So other agents on your actual team.
Yeah, so I have an organization. At EXP we have the ability to have an organization. So I have agents in my organization, but I also have a small team as well.
Okay, so then talk about, and we'll kind of dig into some of these other items later, but talk about kind of the financial coaching that you're doing as well. Some of the stuff with helping people with credit and loans, just so people can get a scope of kind of the full breadth of what you're doing in the real estate industry space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into the financial consultancy piece, which originally was just credit restoration in the beginning. That's all that I was doing at first. And the reason why I tend to get into things because they like attached to something else, right? Like
Mhm.
I got my real estate license because I wanted to sell my properties. I don't just kind of like just get into things, right? It just has to make sense and has to flow. So I got into credit restoration originally because a lot of my clients, individuals that I would talk to, they would get denied. And it could be due to credit, late payments, collections, late repos on their cars and things of that nature. So they needed to clean their credit up to achieve home ownership. And I know how important home ownership is, right? Or even being able to buy an investment property, because some people say that buying a house, is not an asset, it's a liability. Okay, well, even having your credit right to be able to buy an asset, which may be an investment property or multi-unit. You live in one unit and rent the other unit, right? Um, and so I wasn't able to help them, right? So I got into credit restoration so that I could help them. But when I got into credit restoration, I started doing that. It kind of evolved, and I found ways to be able to add additional services to my business. And then that's when we got into um, business loans, right? So helping individuals purchase real estate in their business name, right? But also helping businesses just get cash advances or lines of credit or term loans, invoice factoring, right? So we were able to get into that space as well, which kind of came from helping individuals buy real estate under their business name. And then from that, we added on the business credit because most people don't understand building their personal credit and business credit are two different things. And you can have a business credit card or you can have a business loan and still not be building business credit, right? That's something very important for people to understand. And they just all tied together, right? And so we've been rocking and rolling in that space and helping as many people as we can.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear, just thinking about how one piece led to another, and then you wake up and you cover such a wide array of services to be able to help people. And the cool thing is you understand how these things are tied together and how you can help people. And then what that does is that just opens up a lot of doors for you in the future, so you can decide, which area are you going to drop in and spend your time on. And if not, you can find other people to help you, other people to help build those areas of the businesses and grow those areas of the businesses, because you understand how all these things are tied together. And so, me being in real estate, I know a little bit about the loan process, but not nearly to the extent that you do. And so now you can really kind of stack the deck, having all these different areas that you're helping people. And so that's fantastic.
Yeah. And the primary, when you say where I primarily spend my time, I'm primarily spending my time as a real estate agent, right? Talking with buyers, sellers, and helping my team to grow in real estate, because everything kind of like that's the head of the dragon, right?
Mhm.
Everything flows from that, right? Because either an individual wants to purchase a home in their personal name or in their business name, or they need credit restoration because they can't purchase. It all kind of flows from that. And then those same individuals that likely want to purchase property may want to start a business at some point, because we even help them, when it comes to building business credit, we even help them establish their LLC from the very beginning, right? So those same individuals, usually if they don't already have a business, they have ambitions to have a business, and we can help them there. Or they want to buy they say, hey, I just bought this property, but I'm going to want to buy another property maybe in a year, 2 years. And I say, well, if you're going to buy that property, why don't you start building business credit and buy that property in your business name, versus buying it in your personal name and personal social security number, buy it under your EIN number, right? So it's just about doing things systematically in the right way. Of course, yes, we can go to a lender and buy an investment property under our personal name, put 20% down. Well, wouldn't it be better to buy it under your business name, and then you have that liability protection, and then some tax advantages as well?
Yeah, I love, us running an investor focused real estate team. I love helping people see how the real estate purchase can be such a big asset for them. I remember as we were kind of making a transition from residential into the investor side, we had a gal who was looking to sell her townhouse because she wanted to buy a house. And so the agent that was on my team working with her, he said, hey, what have you ever thought about renting it out and then seeing if you qualify to still go buy another property? And so she had some discussions, and that's ultimately what she decided to do. And so, as a residential real estate agent, you might think like, oh, that cost me a sale because they didn't sell their house. But think about the wealth that she's going to be able to build by owning that. She might buy 2, 3, 5, 6 more properties in the future because you helped her see the future path. And kind of similarly for you, you're helping people see that investment path, but you're also helping them get the loan, fix their credit to get the loan, and kind of, put all those eggs into that basket. So yeah, I see what you're saying about kind of the real estate agent side is the head of the dragon, and everything else kind of flows into that and through that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to be adding on. I kind of mentioned this before we jumped on the call. We're going to be adding on the ability to help those first-time home buyers with home loans as well. So that's another piece that's coming. And it's these multiple streams of income for individuals that are looking at this call, like from the entrepreneurial side. It's the multiple streams of income, but they all flow into one. It's not like it's taking an immense amount of energy, to add these services to my business or to your business, because it all flows into one. So I have a real estate team, I have a financial coaching team, and we're going to have a home loan team that we're rolling out right now. I have some loan officers that are already in my organization as well, for personal home loans as well. And individuals can contact me as well if they want to add these services to their business.
Let's talk about building the real estate team a little bit. So, you were a solo agent, you had been part-time, kind of gone into full-time. There's a lot of people in that space where they're like, I'm a solo agent right now. I've had some success. I don't really know what the next step is, and I don't really know what I want to do. Some people feel like starting a team just brings in a whole new can of worms they don't want to deal with. They like just being by themselves. Some people like kind of the leverage that a team can provide. What was that thought process for you as you started that process of starting your team?
Yeah, so you know what? It's not a cookie cutter thing, right? Because your team actually, and I didn't even realize this at first, but your team, can be structured any way that you choose to structure your team, right? And I know a lot of people don't know that, but originally, I got into being a managing broker, right? I said if I wasn't going to be a managing broker, then I would start a team. But I got into being a managing broker, and then, like I said, I moved my business over to EXP. Um, but primarily, I'm focusing on building the organization within EXP, right? But I do treat it like a team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So but when you talk about the team per se, my team, right? The branded team, the heavy hitters, right? Team, um, that I really structure that team for brand new agents that are coming in, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
mentoring and I'm coaching,
Yep.
right? I really structure that for them. Okay. Now will it potentially grow? It seems like it might, because I have individuals coming to me like, hey Aziz, I want to, kind of be a part of the team. I want to see what the team offers, etc. But really I was doing that for brand new agents because I was mentoring them. And then it's just easier to keep tabs, transactions, etc. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my team has primarily been focused. But can we expand the team? Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to growing a team or building a team, it's basically it's based around value.
Mm-hmm.
What type of value can you offer to the individuals that's on that team? Can you offer an environment that's conducive to growth? Are you bringing your knowledge? Training individuals to get to a point where they need to be. That might be a reason why they join a team. Are you providing leads for the team, right? So that they don't have to go out there and fish and hunt so much for themselves. What's the value that you're going to bring to that team to make them want to, operate with you? And, all of it plays a part, but a lot of it is going to be the value that you bring in your knowledge, to get them to a level where they want to be.
I used to always joke about when I first got into real estate, everybody I would talk to, like, oh, I always thought about getting in real estate too. And so I was like, at least you have a common thread in a conversation with pretty much anybody, because everybody's thought about getting in real estate at one point in time. But the reality is it's hard. Like, there's people that come in, they have success, they're able to just do what they're supposed to do, and you just see their career grow. And then there's so many people that struggle because they like the freedom, they like the unlimited income potential. What they don't realize is it takes really hard work to build that momentum. And so, joining a team right out of the gate, there's a lot of value there. And I love that you touched on value proposition, because it's not just about, hey, I joined a team and they're taking half my commission or whatever you decide that to be. It's no, there's a legitimate learning curve there. And there is a lot of value that new agents coming on a team can experience. How to structure their day. What do the top producers do? The knowledge piece is huge. Being able to walk through and shadow on appointments or calls to hear how that goes, and to figure out how to spend time lead generating and finding new clients while still processing your existing clients that are under contract and closing. Like, there's a learning curve there. So there's a lot of value to being on a team. And for some people too, they like the leverage that it provides. I've got an agent on my team that's like, I don't even want to know how the admin side works. I like not even touching that. And so you can operate in your skill set and in your area of passion as well. If you don't want to do the whole business, you don't want to be the 24/7 realtor, you don't have to be. So there's a lot of value that being on a team can provide. And yeah, like you said, it comes down to what is your value proposition? And there's lots of teams out there that have different value propositions. And so there's no team that's like the other team. Everyone kind of has their own flair, their own personality on it, and their own value that they provide. And it's finding that right fit for you and what you're looking to get out of your real estate career.
Yeah, I think one of the major pieces of it too is the accountability piece, because there's individuals that come into real estate as real estate agents that don't even realize they're truly starting their own business. They are truly entrepreneurs at this point. They feel like they're getting their real estate license. They're going to come in. It's going to be more so like a job. They know it's not going to be like a job, like a 9-to-5 job, but I don't think they necessarily expect there's going to be full-blown entrepreneurship either. Right. And
Yeah.
because of that, I think it's like, okay, I got my license. I kind of know what to do, but do I actually do it? And how am I using my time? And if you don't have anyone there for those individuals to be to hold them accountable, then they can find themselves just slipping into not doing any activity. And of course, if they're not doing any activity, then they're not getting any results.
Yep.
So that accountability factor, if you join the right team, is going to be major as well for individuals, because it's definitely not a 9 to 5 job. You have to be, if you don't need the accountability, is because you are a self-starter, you are a self-motivator, and you're like, hey, I can go get this job done by myself, right? You have those individuals, but a lot of individuals, they need, and it's okay, right? It's okay that they need some guidance, they need a push, and they need some accountability.
Yeah, that is a hard thing, because as a solo agent, you could do anything you want. You could decide, I'm gonna, today's a cold day outside when we're filming this. I could go watch a movie right now, or I could go play video games, and nobody's gonna tell you, no, you can't do that, because you don't have a boss telling you can't do that. And so that's the challenge of holding yourself accountable. I have this office down here. It's out of my house, and yet at the same time, I have this mental piece where it's kind of like I'm clocking in at a certain time every day, and I'm here. I do have the luxury, of going to see my kids if I, for lunch or something like that. But at the same time, this is still my job. And so even though I don't have anybody telling me what I can and can't do, I have to hold myself accountable to that. So yeah, the team accountability can be really, really helpful for people getting started too. And even later in life too. We all fall into traps of not being as accountable as we should. So
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So real quick then, you had kind of talked about your investment journey. So I'd love to hear just a little bit more about how that grew for you, and really the mindset behind it. So many people want to invest in real estate, and they stay on the sidelines because I'm not ready yet. I don't know the right property. I don't know the perfect thing. And they're just waiting for the perfect thing to come along for them to move forward. So I'd love to kind of hear how you decided to just make that leap, and how that grew for you, and kind of the benefit that paid off for those that haven't yet gotten into the investing side.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first decision to get into real estate, the first property that I purchased, that was a no-brainer, right? Because I had, the option to continue to pay rent, or I had the option to buy a property. And I didn't really like paying rent. So I was like, you know what? Let me buy a 2 unit property, and I'm going to live in one unit, and then I'm going to rent the other unit, because I'm trying at that point to cut the cost of living, right? If I can, a penny saved is a penny earned. So I mean, it didn't cover the entire mortgage, from one unit, but I wasn't paying very much out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I mean, it covered majority of it. So I wasn't coming very much out of pocket just to live, right? And then the other thing that I did was, the one thing that I did do was, I found a property that had a good size in height in the basement,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I wanted to turn that into a living space. I say at some point I'll turn this into a living space, storage space, record. I'll do something with it, right? To maximize that potential, because I could look at it like, hey, I could buy a whole nother property, or I could just, fix this area down here and then leverage it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that as well. That was just my first property. Like, that right there set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
That one move right there set the tone. Okay. And then I went and then I bought another property, and the plan was to do the same thing with the basement, but I never ended up doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ended up selling it. But on that journey, I had now become a landlord for several years, right? And I saw what the experience was there as well. So then I learned from it, and I grew from it, and I said, okay, next properties that I buy and hold, I'll do things a little different. I didn't lose any money, right? And then equity went up and then I sold. And so I didn't lose any money, but could I have made better decisions? Yes. But you got to understand, this is me making decisions that I had nobody in real estate around me to tell me what decisions that I should make. I read the books, I watched the videos, YouTube videos, etc. But it's nothing like jumping in, doing it yourself. You can, it's great to become knowledgeable, but at the end of the day, you're still following somebody else's experience, right? And what they experience, what might be good for them, might not necessarily be good for you. But at least you can go into it making an educated decision, right? So you shouldn't be too far off if you just kind of follow systems and the mentorship and coaching of individuals that have already done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a few things that I learned that I didn't like, and I'll list those off because I think this will be some great information. Um, well, I'm close to the city of Chicago, right? So, the city of Chicago, what I learned years ago, I learned some of the properties in the city of Chicago do not have water meters. So you can buy a property there, and the bill would just be bi-monthly or every 3 months, and then it would be a solid bill no matter how much water was run, right? So that was something that was very important because if you get a busted pipe, if you have a tenant that has a running toilet and they don't tell you because they don't really care, that could take that whole month's profit right away from you, right? So that was one thing that I learned. So I started looking at properties that didn't have water meters. Okay. The other thing was, and I learned this after my very first property. I looked at properties that had separate utilities, like separate gas meters, separate electrical meter, where everything was separated and then there was a common area, right? That way I wouldn't have to worry about paying a light bill or the gas bill or keeping someone's gas on, even if they weren't paying the rent because it's the middle of the winter time, etc. That would be solely on them, right? That saved me a cost as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing that I learned, and that's why I'm kind of into, I got some townhomes right now that I'm renting. I'm probably going to pick up a single family. I like townhomes and single family. And a lot of people say, well, don't get townhomes, get multi-unit. Well, I like it for the first one that you're in because you're going to be living in it too. The next property, I don't know if I necessarily like 2 and 3 units, maybe 4 unit, but definitely 5 and above. But if you are gonna stay residential, you have to go 2 to 4 units. Try your best to buy a 4 unit. That would be my best advice versus a 2 unit. And the reason being is what I saw was that there's a lot of turnover because typically when someone rents an apartment, unless you're doing long-term leases, right? But when they rent an apartment, it's really just a pit stop. They're not really planning on staying too long. You might get a good run for some tenants, but the majority of tenants that I experienced in the area that I was renting in, it was a pit stop, right? So there was turnover, or then they didn't pay the rent, and then you had downtime, and then you lose money, and then you go through evictions, etc. Right? So one time, and I didn't even come to this conclusion on my own. I came to this conclusion just by being around real estate. One time I'm out showing houses, single family homes to an investor. Okay. And I'm like, why does this guy, this years ago, why does this guy want to buy single family homes? So he said, well, it's just, it's cheaper. It's something that I can maintain. I just want to try single families. I said, okay, if that's what you want to do, it's fine. He didn't even realize what he was doing, what he knew he was doing, what he was going to get. Right. So when I started showing these single family homes, they were typically occupied and there were renters in them, right? And I would start talking to the individuals that were there. And when I talked to them, I found out that these individuals had been living in these homes for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. They took care of all the utilities, cut the grass. Sometimes they would even do repairs to the place, because they felt like that was their home at that point because it was a house. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
really get that with renters in apartments. right? So I said, man, so I saw it one time. I said, maybe that's just that one person. Then I would go to another house. I'm talking to, and it's over like the course of a couple of weeks, and we're showing houses, and it became more so than showing the houses for me, gathering information. And I started realizing there was a pattern. People had stayed in these houses. And that's what you want when you have rentals. You want long-term tenants that do their best to maintain the property because they feel like that is their home. You want to take care of those tenants. You want to be a good landlord, a great landlord to those tenants because they will likely be there for a long time. And then the other thing that I couple with that is Section 8. I do Section 8 on my properties. I allow Section 8 on my properties because even when this pandemic hit and landlords were not getting paid, Section 8 landlords were still getting paid, right? So people who have a bad stigma around individuals that have Section 8, and I've heard like, oh, they're going to tear your property up, they're not good tenants. And well, you got to interview your tenants that are Section 8 just like you would anyone else. Don't just take the first person that's Section 8 because they're coming with the papers and you say, oh, it's going to be like guaranteed money. Well, still interview them as if you would interview anyone else. So I've had some pretty good success with my Section 8 tenants, and I take care of my tenants as well so that I make sure that they're happy. So
yeah, I mean, that's what I love about real estate is there's a whole ocean of opportunity. What some people enjoy doing, others don't. And, being on an investor focused team, yeah, there's some people that are like, Section 8, I don't really know. And some people are like, I love it. I've had a great experience. Some people, want townhomes. Some people say no. Some people want single family homes. Some people say no. Some people want certain areas or neighborhoods. Other people say no. So that's the beauty is everybody has their own goals, what they're trying to accomplish and how that works and their own preferences. And it's just an ocean of opportunity, and you can carve out your niche, and there's plenty of room for everybody. It's an abundance mentality here.
And what I want to add is, because I know somebody's going to be watching this and they might take my advice and they say, start going that lane, and they might start researching it. Well, I found townhomes that did not have associations. They used to be in associations, but they're not in associations. So I don't have to pay monthly or annual dues on it, and the taxes are low, right? So the properties, and I buy cheap properties, right, as well. I look for cheap properties that are in good condition, right? And then sometimes it's a needle in a haystack, and sometimes you have to be patient with it, right? Mm-hmm. But you just have to be prepared, have your credit right, have your money right. So when that time comes, you can strike on the opportunity. So the properties give me good returns. And because they give me good returns, I'm able to have a property manager manage the properties so that I'm not hands-on, because we got a big snowstorm coming. And in my first two properties, I would have been out shoveling that snow after work, and I worked the second shift, and I would be out there 12 o'clock at night shoveling snow because I knew I was going to be too tired in the morning. And then I was gonna have to go back to work, and I did the outer. But this 6 inches of snow everybody's talking about that you got that's supposed to be coming, I would have been shoveling both of those properties in the beginning. But you live, you learn, and then you earn.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Aziz, for coming on and sharing your experience and your story. How can folks get a hold of you if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Really simple. Just go to www.coachaziz.info. COACHA Z as in zebra, I Z as in zebra .info. CoachAziz.info. And they can find all of my links. They can find all of my social media, ways to contact me. Follow me on and subscribe on YouTube, and then follow me on all the social media sites as well. Feel free to inbox me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you sharing your time and sharing all your expertise with everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Have a great day.